The discovery beyond the void. Dr. Elena Vasquez pressed her face against the cold viewport of the research vessel Pathfinder, watching the swirling purple clouds of the Cerberus Nebula dance in the distance. For 3 months, her archaeological team had been searching this forgotten corner of space, following ancient star charts that most scholars dismissed as fantasy. The nebula was considered a dead zone, too dangerous for normal travel and too empty for profitable mining. Perfect for hiding secrets. "Elena, you need to see this," called Marcus Chen, the team's archaeologist, his voice tight with excitement. She floated over to his workstation, where holographic displays showed energy readings that made no sense. "What am I looking at?" she asked, studying the bizarre patterns scrolling across the screens. "Something massive. The readings are coming from deep inside the nebula's core, but they're not natural. The energy signature is artificial, and it's old. Really old." Marcus pointed to a series of spikes on his display. These patterns match theoretical models for pre-diaspora human technology. But that's impossible. Humans weren't even spacefaring when these readings suggest this technology was built. Captain Sarah Mitchell drifted over from the command station, her weathered face creased with concern. "How old are we talking about?" "At least 50,000 years, maybe more. The energy decay suggests these objects have been dormant for millennia, but something is changing. The power levels are rising." Elena felt her heart race. The official records stated that humans had only reached the stars 3,000 years ago, after developing faster-than-light travel. Before that, Earth was supposedly isolated, primitive, struggling with basic planetary conflicts. But whispers persisted among archaeologists about gaps in the historical record, missing pieces that never quite fit the accepted timeline. "Captain, we need to investigate," Elena said firmly. "If there's even a chance that these readings represent lost human technology, we have to know." Captain Mitchell nodded slowly. "Agreed. But we proceed carefully. That nebula has swallowed ships before." The Pathfinder adjusted course, its engines humming as they approached the nebula's outer edge. The purple gases grew thicker, crackling with electromagnetic storms that made the ship's hull sing with static discharge. Their instruments flickered and struggled to maintain clear readings as they pushed deeper into the cosmic fog. "There," Marcus whispered, pointing ahead. "Dead ahead, 2,000 kilometers." Through the swirling mists, massive shadows began to emerge. Not one object, but dozens. As the Pathfinder drew closer, the shapes resolved into something that made the entire crew gasp in wonder and disbelief. Ships. Enormous ships, each one easily 10 times the size of their research vessel. They hung in the nebula like sleeping giants, their hulls dark and scarred by time, but unmistakably artificial. The design was unlike anything in current human or alien databases, yet something about their sleek, predatory lines felt familiar, as if echoing some deep genetic memory. "My God," Elena breathed. "There must be 50 of them at least." "Elena, look at this," Marcus called out, his instruments detecting something new. "I'm getting biosignatures from our crew being reflected back from the ships. It's like they're scanning us, recognizing us as human." As if responding to his words, lights began to flicker along the hull of the nearest vessel. Soft blue illumination traced patterns across its surface, spreading like a awakening nervous system. One by one, the other ships began to follow suit, their dormant systems coming online after countless millennia of silence. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission," reported Lieutenant Hayes from the communications station. "It's not using any known protocol, but our computers are somehow interpreting it." "Put it through," Mitchell ordered. A voice filled the bridge, speaking in ancient Earth languages that their translation systems struggled to process. But gradually, the meaning became clear. "Children of Earth, you have returned to us. We are the First Fleet, guardians of humanity's true heritage. We have waited for you to find us, to reclaim what was lost when the Great Forgetting began." Elena's hands trembled as she activated the ship's recording systems. "This is impossible." Humans didn't have interstellar capability 50,000 years ago. Our own historical records show. Your records lie. The voice interrupted gently. They were altered, hidden, buried beneath false histories to protect the secret. Humanity once ruled the stars, commanded fleets that made empires tremble. But we grew too powerful, too quickly. The other races feared us, united against us, forced us to retreat to our home world and forget our legacy. The bridge fell silent except for the hum of life support systems. Captain Mitchell was the first to speak. "Who are you? What happened to the crews of these ships?" "We are the last guardians, our consciousness preserved within the ship's quantum cores. We have maintained our vigil, waiting for humanity to rediscover space travel and find us. The time of hiding is over. The galaxy needs its true defenders again." Far across the galaxy, in the crystalline spires of the Zephyrian Empire's capital world, alarms began to sound. Admiral Crixtal's 6 eyes widened as he read the emergency reports flooding his command center. "Impossible," he hissed through his translator. "The human ships are fairy tales, legends used to frighten younglings. The energy signatures are unmistakable." "Admiral," his aide reported nervously, "our deep space monitors have detected massive power spikes in the Cerberus Nebula. The patterns match the theoretical profiles of the lost fleet." Admiral Crixtal felt his scales bristle with ancient fear. Every spacefaring race knew the stories, passed down through generations like warnings. Long ago, before the current galactic order existed, humans had possessed technology that defied understanding. Ships that could tear through space itself, weapons that could crack moons, defenses that made them nearly invincible. The Great War had ended with humanity's voluntary exile to their home system, but the fear had never truly faded. "Contact the Hegemony Council immediately," he ordered. "If the humans are awakening their ancient fleet, every empire in the galaxy needs to know." Back in the nebula, the ancient ships continued their awakening sequence. The lead vessel, massive beyond comprehension, slowly began to move. Its engines, powered by principles that modern science had forgotten, ignited with a soft blue radiance that pushed the nebula's gases away like a gentle wind. "They're beautiful," Elena whispered, watching as the ship's hull patterns shifted and flowed like living art. "They're terrifying," Captain Mitchell corrected. "Elena, I'm reading weapon systems on these ships that our sensors can barely classify. Energy capacitors that could power entire star systems, defensive shields that seem to bend space itself." The ancient voice spoke again, now emanating from multiple ships as more systems came online. "Do not fear us, children. We are your inheritance, your birthright. Humanity was meant to walk among the stars as equals, not hide in the shadows while lesser races squabble over territory we once claimed by right." "What do you want from us?" Elena asked. "To remember, to reclaim, to take your place once again as the galaxy's rightful leaders. The other empires have grown soft and weak in our absence. They have forgotten why they once trembled at the mention of human ships crossing their borders." Lieutenant Hayes looked up from his station with alarm. "Captain, I'm detecting multiple faster-than-light signatures heading this way. Large fleets, coming from different directions. How long before they arrive?" 6 hours, maybe less." The ancient voice chuckled, a sound that seemed to echo from the very fabric of space. "They come to witness the awakening, to see if their oldest fears are justified. Let them come. Let them remember why the stars once belonged to humanity." As the Pathfinder watched in awe, the first of the ancient ships began to move with graceful purpose. Its hull shimmered as advanced systems activated, systems that had been dormant since the dawn of galactic civilization. The ship's movements were fluid, organic, as if it were a living creature stretching after a long sleep. "Elena," Marcus called out, his voice filled with wonder. "I'm detecting quantum fluctuations around the ships. They're not just moving through space, they're manipulating it, creating their own localized space-time conditions." More ships began to stir, their ancient crew's consciousness awakening within the quantum cores that had preserved them across the millennia. Each vessel was unique, built for different purposes, but all sharing the same impossible grace and power that had once made them the most feared sight in the galaxy. "Welcome home, children of Earth," the collected voices whispered. "The time of exile is over. Let the galaxy remember the name of humanity, and let them know that we have returned." The nebula pulsed with new energy as 50 ancient ships prepared to emerge from their long hiding place. In the distance, alien fleets approached with weapons charged and shields raised, but deep in their hearts, the commanders of those fleets already knew the truth that their ancestors had tried to forget. Humanity had never truly been gone. They had simply been sleeping, waiting for the right moment to reclaim their birthright among the stars. When legends become reality, the emergence of the ancient human fleet from the Cerberus Nebula sent shockwaves across the galaxy that reached every inhabited world within hours. On the trading hub of Nexus Station, alien merchants stopped their negotiations to stare at emergency broadcasts. In the war colleges of the militant hegemony, strategists pulled out classified archives that hadn't been opened in centuries. Across 1,000 worlds, the same whispered question echoed: are the legends true? Commander Zara Okafor stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Force flagship Resilience, watching the tactical display with a mixture of awe and terror. The ancient ships had emerged from the nebula in perfect formation, their movements synchronized as if controlled by a single mind. Each vessel dwarfed modern human warships, their hulls gleaming with an inner light that seemed to pulse with life. "Ma'am, we're receiving communications from every human colony in this sector," reported her communications officer. "They're all asking the same question. What do we do?" Zara understood their confusion. Modern humanity was scattered across dozens of star systems, each colony struggling to maintain independence while fending off alien raiders and territorial disputes. They had no unified fleet, no central command structure. Humans survived in the galaxy through cunning and determination, not overwhelming force. "Open a channel to the colonial governors," she ordered. "Emergency session. Full diplomatic protocols." Within minutes, holographic projections of humanity's leaders flickered to life around the bridge. Governor Martinez from the mining world of Kepler 442, Admiral Chen from the Outer Rim colonies, President Williams from New Geneva, all wearing expressions of shock and uncertainty. "Has anyone made contact with these ships?" President Williams asked without preamble. "The archaeological team that discovered them is still in the nebula," Zara replied. "Dr. Vasquez reports that the ships are responding to human presence, claiming to be some kind of ancient guardian fleet." "Preposterous," scoffed Admiral Chen. "Human civilization is 3,000 years old, not 50,000. These ships must be alien in origin." Governor Martinez leaned forward in his projection. "Then explain why they only respond to humans, Admiral." "My xenobiology team confirms that these vessels are using biotechnology that matches human genetic markers." The debate was interrupted by an incoming transmission that overrode all their communication systems. The voice that emerged was the same one Dr. Vasquez had first encountered, but now it spoke with the authority of command. "Children of the scattered worlds, you debate what you should embrace. We are your ancestors, your protectors, your legacy. The time has come to unite under the ancient banner and reclaim humanity's rightful place." "Who are you?" President Williams demanded. "We are the First Fleet, the chosen guardians of humanity's golden age. I am Admiral Konstantin Petrov, last commander of the Terran Deep Space Command. We accepted exile to spare our children the galaxy's wrath, but we never truly left. We watched. We waited. We prepared." Zara felt a chill run down her spine. "Admiral Petrov, our records show no evidence of a galactic human civilization. How is this possible?" "Because we erased them ourselves," the ancient voice replied sadly. "The great forgetting was our gift to you, our way of ensuring humanity's survival. We removed all traces of our empire, altered your genetic memories, gave you a false history of slow development. It was the only way to let you grow strong enough to eventually reclaim what was lost. Across the galaxy, alien fleets converged on the nebula with weapons charged and battle plans activated. The Zephyrian Empire's War Council had voted unanimously for preemptive strikes. The Silicon Syndicate's hive minds calculated the threat probability at 97%. Even the usually peaceful Crystalline Collective had armed their defensive fleets. Admiral Crix Tal's flagship led the Zephyrian battle group, his scales rippling with barely contained aggression. All ships maintain formation. Target the largest human vessels first. We cannot allow them to fully activate their systems. Admiral, his tactical officer reported nervously, the human ships are not running standard defensive patterns. They're just sitting there, completely exposed. Good. That makes our job easier. But as the alien fleets closed to weapons range, something extraordinary happened. The ancient human ships began to sing. It started as a low harmonic resonance that seemed to vibrate through the fabric of space itself. The sound grew stronger as more ships joined the chorus, their hulls glowing brighter with each note. The alien fleet commanders watched in confusion as their instruments detected energy patterns unlike anything in their databases. "What are they doing?" Admiral Crix Tal demanded. His science officer's voice trembled. "Admiral, they're not just making noise. They're creating some kind of quantum interference pattern. Our weapons systems are becoming unstable." The singing reached a crescendo, and suddenly every alien ship in the vicinity found their weapons offline, their shields flickering, their engines struggling to maintain power. The ancient human vessels had somehow disrupted the fundamental energy matrices that powered modern starship technology. "Impossible," Admiral Crix Tal whispered. "No race has that kind of technological capability." Admiral Petrov's voice echoed across all communication channels. "You have forgotten the old lessons, young races. You build your ships with brute force and crude energy, but you never learn to make them truly alive. Our vessels are more than metal and circuits. They are extensions of our will, powered by the quantum consciousness of their crews." One of the ancient ships moved toward the alien fleet with impossible grace, its hull shifting and flowing like liquid metal. As it approached the Zephyrian flagship, Admiral Crix Tal realized that the vessel wasn't just large, it was reshaping itself, growing weapon arrays and defensive systems that materialized from its very structure. "All ships, retreat," Crix Tal ordered, but it was too late. The human ship didn't fire conventional weapons. Instead, it released a pulse of pure energy that passed harmlessly through the alien hulls, but completely scrambled their computer systems. Every alien vessel in the fleet suddenly found themselves dead in space, their crews unharmed but their ships completely inert. "This is Admiral Petrov to all alien commanders," the ancient voice announced calmly. "You are not our enemies, but you will not be permitted to threaten humanity's children. Return to your worlds and tell your leaders that the First Fleet has awakened. The old treaties are void. Humanity will no longer hide." Back on the Resilience, Commander Okafor stared at the tactical display in amazement. They just disabled an entire battle fleet without firing a shot. President Williams spoke for all of them. "What do they want from us?" The answer came not from Admiral Petrov, but from Dr. Vasquez aboard the Pathfinder. "Commander Okafor, you need to see this. The ships are sharing their historical records with us, showing us what really happened." Holographic displays throughout human space lit up with images from humanity's forgotten past. Vast fleets of organic ships sailing between the stars, human colonies on worlds that were now alien capitals, technologies that bent the laws of physics to serve human needs, and at the center of it all, a golden age of exploration and discovery that had lasted for millennia. "We were explorers first," Admiral Petrov explained as the images played. "We sought knowledge, beauty, understanding. We helped younger races develop, shared our technologies, tried to create a galaxy based on cooperation rather than conquest. But power corrupts, and eventually, some human factions began to see themselves as rulers rather than guides. The images shifted to show massive battles, human ships fighting each other while alien worlds burned below. The Great War nearly destroyed everything we had built. In the end, the survivors made a choice. We would remove ourselves from the galaxy, let humanity start over with a clean slate, and hope that our children would choose a better path. Governor Martinez asked the question that everyone was thinking. And now, what happens now that you've returned? Now we give you a choice. Admiral Petrov replied. You can continue as you are, struggling to survive in a galaxy that sees you as primitives and outcasts. Or you can reclaim your heritage, unite under the ancient banner, and take your rightful place among the stars. With what authority? Admiral Chen demanded. You abandoned us, left us to fend for ourselves for thousands of years. Why should we follow ghosts from the past? Because, Admiral Petrov said simply, you are still our children, and the galaxy still needs what humanity can offer. The current empires are stagnant, trapped in cycles of conquest and commerce. They have forgotten how to dream, how to reach for something greater than themselves. We can teach you to be what we once were, explorers and builders, not just survivors. As if to demonstrate their point, one of the ancient ships began to change before everyone's eyes. It hull flowed and reformed, revealing internal chambers filled with technologies that seemed more like art than engineering. Gardens grew within transparent domes, populated by creatures from 100 worlds. Libraries held the accumulated knowledge of civilizations that no longer existed. Workshops contained tools that could reshape matter at the atomic level. This is what we offer, Admiral Petrov continued. Not just weapons and ships, but the knowledge to create wonders, to build a civilization based on exploration and growth, rather than fear and scarcity. One by one, the human leaders began to nod their agreement. The choice was clear, even if the path ahead was uncertain. Then let it begin, President Williams declared. Let humanity reclaim its place among the stars. The ancient ships responded by releasing a new pulse of energy, but this one was different. Instead of disrupting technology, it enhanced it. Human ships throughout the sector found their systems upgrading, their capabilities expanding as ancient knowledge merged with modern engineering. And across the galaxy, alien empires watched their sensor screens with growing alarm as humanity began to remember what it had once been and what it could become again. The age of hiding was over. The age of humanity had begun anew.